So, Feña Ortalli, thank you so much for meeting me and for having this short discussion. We've been discussing now for a bit of time anyway, some private time, but I really want to ask you one huge question, and I want your point of view on it.
Please.
Narrative improv is something that the Americans talk about. Not so much because there's not so much of it consciously. Talking to all the Americans, they are getting more and more into narrative improv. Whereas in Europe, we call it dramatic improv. We have different terminology, that's all it is. And I find it interesting that this terminology is so different because when we're working with each other, especially now that we're all working with Zoom, when somebody tells me about narrative improv, it sounds like storytelling. Narrative is storytelling, it's writing a piece, it's about the arch. And for me, dramatic improv is more about not going for just the laughs, just the comedy improv. It's almost like comedy improv versus dramatic. Although in dramatic, I think you can have a lot of comedy, right? Dark comedy, dark humor, satire, I think it's very important. But it just allows that you to go deeper when you're a dramatic improviser. It allows you to take your time to develop more. That's how I sort of define it. And you can do this in beautiful moments of connection. That's what I think is important, the human connection and not the quick laugh. When I talk to Americans, they say narrative improv. What do you understand about narrative improv? What for you would be the definition between the both?
What I like about all of this is that we talk about different things using different definitions and different languages, because that in Spanish that doesn't exist, that difference, and not only in the language but in the philosophy of improvisation. We always told stories from minute zero that we started improvising. We were into stories. So for us, we improvise theater. That's it. So if you improvise theater, you could be telling stories. You could be telling stories through different connections of scenes. You could be telling stories through monologues. You can be telling stories however you want. So in my particular community, both in Latin America and in Spain, that doesn't exist. What it does exist is this idea of you are more into humor, you more into show, like an improv show or an improv play, an improvised theater play, basically. So what you say with the difference of what you can do with the narrative tools is, okay, once you incorporate the tools, then you can do whatever you want with them. And it defines who you are and why do you want to tell this story. So one of the differences I found between the North American style and the European or Latin American style is the structure of what you say. If narrative improv, so to speak, in the United States, basically it's just long scenes with basically people talking and not moving that much, and not moving not just the bodies, but moving forward in the story. You get to see long scenes in the same time and space. In Latin American improv, for instance, you get to see a lot of short scenes with the same stories, like the plot line evolves over and over. It's this the peripetical story in which the hero goes through different obstacles. And now, once we evolve, so to speak, in this community, we get to have the mix. And this is what I like, this idea of expanding and advancing in the certain moment and the right time in order to make not only the story interesting, but also each scene. So I think for me, if you want to make a difference, it would be, is this a show or this is a theater play? And it doesn't matter whether it's fun or dark or political or dramatic. I think it's a difference between, is this something that you need to have a theater to do so, or you can do it anywhere? If you can do it anywhere, then it's an improv show and it's great. And 99% of the times you get to be very funny and people would laugh their heads off. But the other is very hard to find the people the audience and the place to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot play a dramatic scene. I can, but I don't know if it will be appreciated in a pub full of people laughing and making jokes and drinking and music loud. So what I like is to be in the stage of a theater, to have lights, to have sound, to have that connection with the audience that you get only in a theater. So I'm in the Spanish, like I said, narrative, yes, always narrative, because we tell stories.
Exactly.
They are improvised. That's the only difference.
Yes, narrative is storytelling. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like when we're talking. We were talking before about Win and the vision we have, this televisionized art of storytelling, which is really going to be groundbreaking because it's never been done before. Where you have 24 episodes, even 8 episodes in a go, where you're slowly developing characters and letting your heroes go through different obstacles, or maybe they're not even heroes, maybe they're just absolute nobodies, but we will find that out as a team. I mean, there is a lot of room for dramatic development, and that's storytelling. And one thing I came across, and I loved it, and I think it's really the core, it's a quote, it's the drama that happens between the characters that tell the story, not the narrative that leads to the drama.
It's interesting.
Yes, it's interesting. And I think this is really what it's about. It's really about the human connection at all times. It's not about the tidal waves that are coming from the outside. And because the tidal waves are there, or the explosions, the humans are reacting. No, we want the humans to react. Why are they always jealous? What's happened in the past that these people, it doesn't matter who they meet, they're just jealous people. And what is the root? What is the depth of that person? You know, that's what makes it interesting. It's the human connection. And I think in Europe, a lot of the time, we practice this a lot, especially with improv, asking people to go deep, asking people to not just stay on the surface, because that's really beautiful when we see that, right? And I think that's, talking to lots of people, I think that's what motivates a lot of us improvisers, to find those human connections. And you're great at it, right? I mean, you give a lot of workshops all over Europe, all over the world with your workshops. Do me a favor, Feña, for some people that want to get to know you, maybe that don't know you, especially in North America, do you want to tell us just 2 minutes about who you are, what you do, what you love? What's your passion about improv?
I'm in this business to tell stories, like I told you, and each step I take, I discover new things that I like to do, and but especially I just how you say it? When I'm on stage, it's like everything else disappears. It's like I'm there playing with my partners and sharing something with the audience. That feeling is incomparable. And what my latest goal is to use that time wisely, to really think why. There's a very good friend of mine, a great improviser, Diego Ingold, always said that he asked himself, why do I call the people? Why do I call up the people to come to the theater? Why do I take them away from the comfort of their houses to come and watch me? What is that important thing I need so hard to express that I make people leave their houses and come?
That's a very high value to a question to ask, but yes.
Yeah. But the answer could be because I want to make fart jokes, and if that's your goal, perfect. You will have the audience for your fart jokes. For me, I know exactly what I want, or at least have a general idea of what I want to say. Then yes, call people. If not, don't. If you just do it,
does
because,
it change?
Yes. Yes, you feel the good pressure. You feel the good pressure of it's very important what I'm about to say, because usually most of the other things that are watched on stage or on TV were written, thought, corrected, tested, and now I get to do it on the spot. I get to express whatever's coming through my mind, and I need to be honest with that. I don't. The worst thing is to lie to myself, and that find myself saying things or representing things I don't believe in, because you're missing your chance. You get these shots and you're missing them just because I'm just copying what somebody else is doing, or maybe that's what I was supposed to say or do and not what I really wanted. So every time you make a choice, it's you. And
but Feña, being truthful and authentic as a character or as Feña?
What I write as a writer, as what I want to happen. So I could be a very miserable character, but for instance, let's take the so-called cancellation culture that's so in the spotlight right now. I could play a very horrible character, but if I'm writing this character, I want to make sure that this character doesn't get off with his goals. I will not necessarily not winning or making him lose, but if he wins, it's because the world, the universe that we created is so crazy, so fucked up that these kind of people get to win. So this is why I mean, what if I represent, for instance, a machist character, or even a rapist, or a killer, I don't take that lightly. That doesn't mean that I don't get to win. Maybe I get to win, and this is a horrible story, and it's great because there are horrible stories in the world. One of the shows I play is called Any Given Day, and we ask the audience for someone for the audience for their birthday, and we look through Wikipedia for the historical events that took place on that date throughout history. And what I found out is the history is terrible because we live in a horrible, horrible world. And most of the things are killings and disasters and massacres and coups and stuff like that. So I realized that we could play with that. We could have fun with all of this. But at the end of the show, I reread and I remind that all these things were true and happened, really. So yeah. Because that's me, because I'm a very political person. I'm very compromised, and I don't want, it's not, has no interest for me to talk about things that I don't care about. So every time I open my mouth is to address something that interests me, and to figure out if that interests also my partners.
So let me ask you one short, challenging question. Then I would say it's your character, depending on what you're showing, how authentic, that's phoning up the people and saying, come and watch me. I have something to say. It's not Feña. It's always an interesting topic. I could talk about it forever. But Feña, you're in Madrid, mainly, right? And you come from Buenos Aires, but you are now living in Madrid, and you are teaching a lot of improv online at the moment, but also offline at festivals all over the world. Do you want to tell anybody anything about where you're at, or where they should find you?
Well, in the online world, you will find me in globalimpro.com. That's Global Impro, but without the B, impro.com. That's the website for the online school. Where we are teaching these classes. We are starting a new trimester with a couple of classes I teach myself. Then we have guest teachers such as Gonzalo Rodolico from Buenos Aires, Omar Galvan, another worldwide known improviser, is teaching magical realism, one of the specialties of the house. We have Jill Bernard teaching duo. Gonzalo Rodolico is teaching solo in Spanish. And the idea is to each trimester to add more courses, more classes, and stuff like that. In the real world, if you are around Madrid, you will find me very easily. I'm teaching in Impromadrid, and we get to perform. We have 4 shows coming in May and June. So if you come to Madrid in May and June, you get to see King's Wing, which is my favorite show ever, with Diego Ingot. And we it again represents how I play and how Diego plays, and we mix it together, and we found this play that we love to play.
Cool. Very cool. Feña, I can't wait to see more of you. I love your workshops. I'm a huge fan, you know that. And we'll be seeing so much more of each other very, very soon in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thank you so much for answering or giving us your point of view about dramatic improv and the way you see it and how you like to play it and the important parts of it to you. And we treasure that. And we want to start that discussion off more about dramatic improv, see what everybody has to say to it.
Feña, there's one last question I have. If there was one tip you would give to the cast and crew of Duluth for their endeavor on trying something like improv for 24 episodes, which tips or wishes would you give them?
What do I wish you all the luck in the world. I wish you patience. I wish you time. I wish you silences. I wish you depth. I wish you trust. I wish you direction, desire, and decisions. I wish you all the best. You are about to face a huge challenge, and we are going to be holding your back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cara.
Okay. Bye.